Number 3 on my most disappointing Transformers of 2018 is Magic Square's Trailbreaker. I forget his third party name, but Magic Square has been impressing me this whole year. I think they started releasing figures in like June or July, and here we are December. They've released 10 releases or close to 10 releases, and all of them have been a B plus or better. Besides this one, for them is way off the mark. It's not a bad toy, and all these toys coming up in this section aren't necessarily bad. They just aren't up to par with the other releases from the companies that they represent. So this isn't a bad toy. It's just not as good as Magic Square's other toys. This was probably their weakest release. And number 3 on my most disappointing Transformers of 2018 is Magic Square Trailbreaker. Number 2 on my list of most disappointing Transformers of 2018 is KFC's Kingzilla. I forget his name, but their version of Snapdragon. Look, this figure is actually a really good figure. It's actually a B plus figure. It got great materials, great articulation, great accessories. It has lights and sounds. Well, lights, not sounds. And my only problem with it, really, I have 2 problems. My main problem with it is the lack of paint. And it's just plastic on top of plastic on top of plastic on top of plastic. And it doesn't present as well as it is because it has that lack of paint, that lack of finish. Just the things that make a Transformer masterpiece, a masterpiece Transformer. And the Headmaster too is the second part, but I just have a problem with Headmasters in general. I don't think we take those into account. But this figure doesn't present as well as it's made. It's solidly made, a really well-made figure. It's just because of lack of paint and just actually probably no paint, very little paint, it just presents less than what it is. And that's the definition of a disappointment to me. A figure that's actually really good, but is one minor thing, something that isn't breaking, or just one minor thing that if they would have did it, would have taken this toy to another level, or taken a toy to another level. And all they had to do was paint it and add a finish, and this toy would have been taken to another level. So number 2 on my most disappointing toys is KFC's their Snapdragon. I forget the third party name. And my most disappointing toy of 2018, Fans Toys Rouge. Look, we all knew she was going to be on this list at one point or another, either most disappointing or worst toy, because when we talk about disappointments, we're talking about also reputation in some cases. And some companies, like Andre 3000 says, your curse is to outdo your last verse. And this is a step down from a company who was consistently outdoing their last verse, or at least keeping up par with their last verse. This toy it's not a bad toy. It displayed, for what I needed to do, it works. It displays well. And to be fair, RC is a hard figure to do. You can see Toy World failed at it. I seen MMC's version. I wasn't really impressed. Aesthetically, this is the most impressive, but she's such a dainty figure. I was the first one to say that she should have been an all die cast figure, and I would have paid $200 if she would have been an all die cast figure, and it wouldn't have been so dainty and so fragile, and they would have taken more care, which they normally do in their products. I think the actual transformation isn't as bad as everybody complains about. My biggest problem with her, again, is that she's dainty and she's hard to pose because of her small feet. So I wish they would have done better proportions in that regard and just made her with die-cast parts. But from a company like Fans Toys, who is the leader in nothing else third-party Transformers, and arguably the best Transformers toy company, including Takara, you expect much more of them every time. And their curse is to outdo their last verse, and they just didn't outdo their last verse this time. This is one of those verses where if it's your favorite rapper, you like, let me listen to it again. You try to keep listening to it to get into it, but you just can't get into it. And then you wonder if they fell off. And I think this toy left everybody wondering if Fans Toys fell off. And as you go through the video, you'll see what we think more about Fans Toys. But Fans Toys Rouge is the most disappointing toy of 2018 just because she isn't built to the quality of other Fans Toys products. And here they are, my most disappointing Transformers of 2018. As you can see, it's only 3 of them, which is a great thing for Transformers collectors because now you can see we're getting less and less of the bad and disappointing pieces and more of the, oh, wow, that's great, or wow, that's just the best figure I have this year, Transformer-wise pieces. And this group they aren't bad. It's just that They come from companies in two of the cases where the company has at least in my mind, a great or still a reputation, and they don't do justice to the reputation or the products the company normally makes. They're like a step below for whatever company makes them. Or in the case of KFC Snapdragon, they just didn't take that extra step to make a good figure, a great figure. So those are what disappointments are to me. Either from a company that produces great and the product falls short of the normal mark, or a product that if they would have taken the extra time and care would have been a knockout figure. So here they are, my most disappointing Transformers of 2018.